Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back. Scotty the Trucker coming to you still from Manuka. I've got my my load, but it doesn't leave for another few hours. It's not due until, the pickup isn't due until 4:30 this afternoon, and it's only an hour away. So I've got, I don't know, 2 or 3 more hours sitting here. Before I get into the an interesting video for you guys, I just wanted to give a shout out. I just met one of my subscribers, Dave. Very good to meet you. And it was brief. We were outside. I was getting my trailer. Trailer had just a couple, this empty that I'm picking up just had a couple little minor fixes. So they had me drive across a couple bays, and actually they had me back up because it was in the way. But anyway, not just saying, I didn't have to park in a bay. They just ran out and fixed them. But I was kind of in the midst of walking to talk to somebody, and I heard, "Is that you, Scotty?" Yep. And so yeah, I met Dave. Good to meet you. Might bump into you again. I'm gonna be here for a few hours. Might see you with some coffee in a little bit, maybe. All right, now I kind of alluded to this in the last video. And I'm hoping we can have some fun with this. I can laugh at it now. Haven't done much laughing in the last 2 weeks. But yeah, I mentioned that prior to coming to Manuka, I've probably endured the 1.5 to 2 weeks of the most physically miserable trucking that I've experienced yet. And now, before I get into my specific issue, I will just say in general, you know, I've always said I love the drive, and especially the long ones, you know, as long as they're paying. I mean, but money aside, I enjoy the longer drives. I like when there's, you know, 1 to 2 to 3 days of just pure driving, don't have to worry about shippers and receivers. And I got put on that load. If I'm remembering correctly, I think 2 videos back I was in Pennsylvania. And I got a load out of Pennsylvania, from Pennsylvania to all the way to Colorado, which is a dream drive for me. I really look forward to those kind. However, very soon after that video, and I guess I'll do the disclaimer. If you're not a big fan of toilet humor, this might not be the video for you. Because, and I guess we're all adults here, kind of, sort of, maybe. So let's just have it out. I was constipated. Oh man, and ridiculously so. Eventually it just built and built and built. But anyway, right about the time I left for Colorado, and I had, you know, roughly 3.5 shifts, something like that. You know, not full 11-hour shifts, but trying to split them up and, you know, be mindful of my recaps. They were roughly, you know, somewhere between 8, 9, and 10 each shift. The first one was a little shorter, but this just began to build, you know, and it just got more and more uncomfortable. And I started, you know, wherever I stopped for, you know, for fuel, I would run in and look for a laxative, you know. And it seems like every truck stop carries anti-diarrheals, but no laxatives. And I don't want an anti-diarrheal. I want a positive diarrheal. I want the diarrheal, you know. So it took, I don't know, 4th or 5th stop. They had a place that had some Dulcolax. So I think this was maybe 3rd day in, getting real uncomfortable, getting into the pain scenario. So I started taking, you know, they said you could take between 1 and 3 of these tiny little pills, but one, depending on the severity, 1 to 3 a day. And I started taking 3 a day after about 3 days in, and nothing for at least 3 or 4 days after that. I was taking it every day. The box said, you know, you should expect something to happen between 6 and 12 hours. It didn't say on the 4th day of taking it. So so all that while, just misery, you know. And I guess everybody out there has had some degree of this problem, and you realize it causes so many other uncomfortable issues, you know. For one thing, again, the strain, you know, I spent more time in public bathrooms than I did in the truck, you know. And as always, it's just the way things go. Sitting there in my stall making not a sound, which is just a matter of waiting for nothing. And of course the guy next to me is over there like, release the Kraken, you know, making all kinds of horrible relief sounds. But I'm over, God, I wish I could trade places, you know. So anyway, so yeah, I would say so we're like maybe six days into this, 3 days with no medicine, 3 days. And during all this time, I'm doing all the physical things I can do to work something out and break things up. I was walking a ton. Every rest stop I was at, I was walking. Back here in the bunk, I'm putting my feet up on the folded up ladder, just trying to physically maneuver, slip, slide, get something moving. Nothing. Even I have a what do you call it, a massage gun. You know, it's the gun with the ball on the end that you use for, you know, sore muscles and stuff. I was even using that on my abdomen, just thinking maybe I can dislodge whatever this monster is down here. And so anyway, it took, I don't know, like I said, about 3 or 4 days on the medicine. I had gotten to my Colorado destination, and I will tell you, you know, I love the driving, and I also say, if this had ever been a stabbing pain, the kind that, you know, makes you jolt or any, you know, grab for your side or anything like that, I wouldn't be driving. I'm not going to do anything that's dangerous. This wasn't that kind of pain. This was like a severe, unrelenting ache, you know. So rather than you know, this kind of thing, it was more of just 8 to 10 hours of just, you know, just kind of misery, you know. Just and I was saying some of the other things that go along with it when you're blocked up this long, when your back door is jammed. you get like this from just straining in the, you know, trying real hard. Your whole chest cavity, your ribs, everything starts to ache and get sore. And from the strain also, and this started to concern me after a while, but from just straining my kidney, my back left kidney started to throb really bad. And that was the last thing to go. Even when everything else had moved on through, the kidney pain took a little bit to get on down, you know, to fade. Still a tiny bit concerned about that. But at one point I thought I was both constipated and had like a kidney stone or something. I've never had one. My dad's lived through like 70 of them, and I know how bad they can be. But for a moment there, I was thinking, God, could I possibly have both? But the timing, since both happened at the same time, I think it was pretty clear that it was all kind of had something to do with the blockage. Yeah, and also nausea. You know, you don't, when you're blocked up like this, you don't want to eat very much. So I was really slacking off on, you know, my daily intake. You also are mindful, gosh, everything that you're putting in is not coming out. So, you know, you're a little mindful of that, but you can't starve yourself. You know, you start getting that starving feeling as well. So just all around misery. And by the time it ends, I was even thinking about it. It's like, what a magic trick your body is. I am blocked up and nothing has come out. But yet I was counting the meals, even though I'd you know, this was days. So I was thinking like 5-6 meals are packed in there. And holy boy, when this Dulcolax finally does decide to take matters into its own hands, I guess it's going to be something to behold, which it was. Things starting to move in after 4th, 5th day. That first day, not a whole lot. Mostly a wind situation rather than a flood situation. I'll just leave it there. I don't want to get too terribly graphic. But the next day, it was Noah's Ark time. It was flood. You know, sweet relief. But yeah, it even once it started working, it took a good three or 4 days here in Manuka, I would say, is where I finally have gotten back to what I would call normal, you know. But oh boy, man, just physically miserable driving when you're in pain and nauseous, you know. No fun. And that's also kind of the, you know, just to tie it back into, I guess, my fence sitters and the, you know, the people thinking about doing this. I hate to be so negative. I need to start doing some more positive videos, but you know, that's one of the things. You come from a desk job. If this had happened to me in my desk job, I'd have taken probably 3 days off at least, because I was just miserable, and nobody would have batted an eye in my old job. Here, you can do it. You can call off the load and be repowered, but I need to be making money. So if I can, there's a level of suck it up, walk it off type thing that you got to be able to do in trucking. You got to be able to endure these, as long as you're not dangerous, you got to be able to endure some of these uncomfortable days, and it has been. So anyway, I'm enjoying myself now. Like I said, I'm in Manuka, the Manuka terminal, one more day. No, not a whole day, but a few more hours. And this load, and I didn't say, I went from Pennsylvania to Colorado, and then from Colorado to Illinois, and then north to Manuka. Anything I see, I'm only at 10 minutes. I can add on the load from hell. This one that went from it was a actually I won't say where, but it was a little different kind of load, but from Colorado up to southern Illinois, I'll just say that. And this was a charity load. I've never, basically it's kind of your scratch and dent boxes from a large carrier, sending it to like a food bank is what this ended up being. And man, everything that could go wrong did. It just from start to finish, just a nightmare. I'm trying to remember back just to get it all. For one, I show up, I go in, and I guess charity loads is a totally different department. The front desk people had to call someone in, and she came in and she said she had 2 packs of paperwork in her hand. She said, "Take your pick. You can go to either one." And I said, she said, "You can take either one." I said, "Well, if they're both going to the same place, I don't really care." So she handed me one, and I took it. And when I went back to the truck and I'm punching it in and I'm about to do I was just looking at it, about to do my depart on my Qualcomm. I noticed that the address was wrong. It was there was so much with this. I know I'm going to miss a bunch, but the ship to address did not match the information that Prime sent for this load. It was close. It was, maybe 20 miles apart, 2 different towns. And I also tried to plug it into Qualcomm, the address into Qualcomm and my Rand McNally, and the address didn't exist. So I called and did my live load, but I told them right off, I said, "There's a bunch of stuff we need to work through. I don't know if I can complete a live loaded call yet." I said, and I haven't even done my weights or anything. I'm just trying to, before I move any further, I want to get this address thing straight. And anyway, long story short, she takes the address, she contacts sales. While I'm on the phone, I go ahead and do my gauge weights, kind of a light load, and she gets back to me not too long. She said, "Sales is adamant." She said, "Go to the original town that we told you that the load goes to, and disregard the ship to address." And I'm like, yeah, all right, didn't really think that was going to work. But then, all right, after I did that, I switched the truck back on, and I got an alert on my the air was the first thing on the trailer. I got the little light that shows that you got an air problem, and at the time I could not get it past like 105 psi idling, even revving a little bit. It just kind of the needle got stuck there. And then I started getting alerts on my Qualcomm saying that for one, the reefer is reading off instead of on. It was obviously on. And the other alert, and it was coming in pairs, like, it's the way these things go. When you got an issue on this, they inundate you with these alerts. Like every 30 seconds you get a pair of them. And the other one said your reefer is reading at negative 666 degrees. That's likely. But anyway, so, and I'm trying to think, there was, and the last one was that when I went to crank up my landing gear, when I did my gauge weights, noticed that the whole, the handle goes, this part was broken completely off. So it was just a jagged, rusty mess here, which made it difficult already. But the gear itself on the landing gear was hard to turn. You don't have really the handle. You're just kind of going like this with the pole. But it kept slipping out of gear. It would, it'd be cranking, and all of a sudden, it would break free and just spin. So, but I was able to do it. But anyway, I called Road Assist, told them about the 3 issues. They said, looks like the air issue will probably straighten itself out once you get on the road. It did. The other 2, let's take it to Manuka after you go ahead and take your load in. It's not far away. And then bring it in for repairs in Manuka. So that's how I ended up here. Sorry for the edit. I usually just throw out whatever I do, but I missed a whole bunch on this load from hell. Well, not a whole bunch, but I missed the actual drop-off. So I wanted to finish that up. The actual delivery, well, actually, when I was talking to the person, the live loaded call person, I still had to work out the fact that the addresses, I couldn't get it on any GPS. So the person on the other end, she just Google mapped it, and she found it, although the street was different. That was what the problem was that the Qualcomm address had, they were similar types of words. Again, I'm a little careful on, talking about shippers and receivers. I probably wouldn't need to be on this one, but whatever. Anyway, the roads, similar type of words, but they were different. And she could find it on her Google Maps. And I did too while I was on the phone. It was on Google Maps. She said and gave me the name of the facility, and that didn't match the original address. But anyway, I said, all right, I'm going to go there by, use my regular car GPS. It's all interstate, so I should be good. And it's not going to take me over any, bad bridges or underpasses and things like that. So I did so. Anyway, when I got to this place, I got to the address that she had given me, and I had seen on Google Maps, even Google Earthed it, and it's this tiny little place, didn't look like even had a door to it. And when I got there, sure enough, it was a deli, like a sandwich deli that was closed. I'm like, oh great. And there was no delivery door or anything like that. But I did see there was one car in the parking lot, so I went around to the back, and there was a guy cutting meat in the back, and the place was closed that day. But he came out, he said, we get this all the time, but this is not the location, it's the next one down. He said, you'll follow the fence and you'll see a small building with a couple docks. He said, we get trucks all the time, the GPS doesn't take them to the right place. So I did. I got there, that place was closed, there was nobody home. Knocked on the door, whatever, but I parked. I was a little early, not a ton, maybe half hour, 45 minutes, so I waited. Eventually someone did show up, and they told me go ahead in the dock, and got docked. She said she said the guy that's going to unload you isn't here quite yet, but he arrived. She said just come on in when you get set up, and I did. Nicest people ever, by the way. I mean, just friendly. They were offering me donuts and cake and coffee, and said, if you need to use the restroom, this one right through the office, don't even ask, just come on in. It is just really wonderful people. But it was one guy at a food bank unloading, so I knew it was going to take a while, and it did. But I knew at that point I was coming to Manuka anyway, so I wasn't in a super hurry. It wasn't a big deal. But yeah, last thing on this, he had just said pull in. He hadn't looked at the paperwork. I had given it to him. He said, yeah, just pull in the door, get opened up and pulled into door 3 or whatever it was. And I was, I was going to just turn and just do it, but it just was nagging at me, and it had been nagging at me all night long. So ask him. And I turned around and said, before I do all that, let me just point out that the address on here does not match this address. And he said, immediately, he said, yeah. He said, that happens all the time. He said, we've called that shipper over and over again. And he said, what it is that every week, both locations, the one that's on the paperwork and this one, are the same food bank group. And one goes to that place and one goes to this place. But they put the same address on both packs. So I'm guessing those were the 2 packs that the woman had. So I'm kind of glad I grabbed this one. At least it was the right place, So I didn't want to get to the other place and them say, no, you should have been here. But anyway, it worked out. But it was a night of worry. I was like, man, there's no way these people are going to accept a full load that doesn't have their address on the ship to. but it worked out okay. All right, that's far enough. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I think it's Thursday. I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday, and I hope you're well, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.